Now, going on to the automotive part of the business podcast today, we have Porsche reconsidering killing their best product line to adopt an EV SUV. Now, throughout the years, I've gained more and more appreciation for German engineering and Porsche. They are the only sports car company dedicated to having 3 pedals, also known as having a stick shift, where you manually select the gears. It is one of the most exhilarating experiences anyone can experience. I highly recommend it. I can't recommend it enough. And before everyone in the comments says, "Oh, it's not as fast as a Tesla. It's not as fast." Well, yes, it's been that way since about the 80s or the 90s. If you want the fastest car in the world, well, with the exception of the final Dodge Challenger, more often than not, it's going to be a computer. But as a wise man once said, if I'm having a good steak or hamburger, I would rather have it on a good old grill as opposed to a microwave. That's a good analogy for driving stick. And Porsche, I especially respect them because when they first debuted the automatic transmission that was faster than someone manually shifting the gears, Porsche thought, we're all about giving our customers the best speed. This is what our customers are going to want. We're going to drop the manual transmission. The amount of backlash from the customer base was so visceral and so strong. Porsche heard and, more importantly, listened to their customers. They said, realize there's a strong demand for the stick shift. We will always make a stick shift for our vehicles. And that's actually thanks in part to North America sales. North America sales are a huge percentage of Porsches with stick shifts. There are a couple things the US just does right, and that demand is clear. So that being said, Porsche is a great automotive company, doing a lot of fascinating things. Ferdinand Porsche, I'm more and more fascinated and admired of him. Now, the company recently claimed they're going to kill the internal combustion engine on the Macan, their crossover SUV thingamajig. And they were going to kill it in 2025, 2026, and replace it with an EV SUV. Which, no, I would say not a prudent business decision. Now, this is especially foolish when you consider the importance of that vehicle to Porsche. And a lot of the purists, when the Cayenne, or is it the Cayman? No, the Cayenne, the SUV. The Cayman is the 911 is the one many people want. The Cayman is the more economical one. There's a little engine differences, but I digress. Now, a lot of people thought when they first debuted the first SUV, they're going to destroy the brand because they were taking away from the purist 911 sports car experience. They're going to SUV. But the brand also realized they were losing customers as they had kids, they moved on different parts of their life, and they needed a crossover SUV. I would argue you could easily fit in the baby somewhere in the Porsche. They have a frunk as well as a little area on the back. Love finds a way, some might say. But nevertheless, they invented the SUV and it turned out to actually be one of the most important and profitable things for the company. And I would argue it allows them the profits so they can continue to make these awesome sports cars like the Porsche 911 GT3 RS. You have great vehicles. Now, currently, the Macan accounts for 1/3 of Porsche USA sales. That one single SUV is 33% of their sales. That is astronomical. And keep in mind, currently, that's an internal combustion engine, which I would argue every Porsche should be. The best Porsche in history is a Carrera GT. It's a V10 with a stick shift. That's the only option you got. If you don't want it, go somewhere else. We want enthusiasts to drive vehicles, but I digress for now. Now, this is coming back from the feedback that Porsche heard from their North America dealer system as well as their customers. When you still have a lot of customers these days who are concerned about the anxiety of having a lack of a range with EV vehicles, which is slowly becoming less of an issue as technology evolves. The range is increasing. The other issue that they're also concerned about is the number of charging stations throughout the United States. They have not acquiesced to the Tesla charging network yet, I don't believe. They're one of a handful of companies holding out against that standard of the plug and the charging. Time shall tell, but I'm pretty sure they'll probably adopt it just because right now every company is, and there's a lot of volume of locations for the Tesla units. But those are the main reasons that instead of going all in on the EVs, they are now in more of a, quote, wait and see approach, which I think is a much more prudent business decision for Porsche in particular. You try to compare them to other automotive companies like Tesla from the ground up or an EV company. Just to troll people, I think it'd be hilarious if Elon was to come out with a V12 internal combustion engine with a stick shift just to blow people's mind. But if you look at the transformation of Porsche, An SUV is much, much different than the electric car that they have, that is the Taycan, where SUVs, one of the biggest concerns is the lack of range because the heavier the vehicle, the bigger the batteries, the less range. So that's why, in my opinion, you're not seeing that big push right now. You have the Tesla, which they have their own proprietary tech, which is amazing, but in terms of Porsche's long-term plan, I think it's probably best, especially when it's one of the most important vehicles you sell, maybe not push so hard to completely destroy it. Maybe, I know Volkswagen in particular, you have these, their parent company, but a lot of these companies are actually having dual production where they'll have the internal combustion model of the same SUV, and then they'll also have the EV model of the SUV. That's a little bit more known as hedging your bets when it comes to all these variables. And part of me thinks that people who are buying Porsches would traditionally want to hear the beautiful sound of an internal combustion engine. But I digress. Time shall tell to see how they continue to evolve their product line, and hopefully they'll keep making a 911 with a stick shift forever. Time shall tell.